Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Capital City Baptist Church. My message this morning is titled, Why Do You Do What You Do? And I have two verses that are going to go along with this devotional. One of them is found in Matthew 24:35, which reads, Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. And the second one is 1 Corinthians 10:31, which states, Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do all to the glory of God. I have always been fascinated by ancient ruins. Each ancient site or city that has been discovered holds great mysteries that fascinate not only archaeologists, but just about anyone who enjoys learning about ancient cultures. I have not yet had the privilege of visiting the Holy Land, nor Egypt, so regrettably I do not have firsthand experience of these biblical ancient historical sites. However, I have seen many of the ancient ruins of the Romans, particularly in the city of Rome. Also, in Greece, I got to see many amazing ruins, including the Acropolis in Athens, various amphitheaters in various cities, and other ancient sites. With my wife and my children, we got to see Chichen Itza, the Mayan ruins in the Yucatan Peninsula. The sites are frankly nothing short of astonishing. And I love it when a tour guide will give us detailed information about sites and insight on the ingenuity of those who designed and built the many structures that still stand today. All are a definite testament of the amazing intelligence that God has given man to build. Yet, just like the first city and tower that man sought to build, namely the Tower of Babel, back in the book of Genesis, in each situation, the obvious is true regarding man's attempts to immortalize themselves through civilizations and cultures. Here it is. None, and I mean none, last forever. What was once is no longer. The structure built to withstand the test of time has not. Yes, some have existed for quite some time. But as time progresses, they continue to crumble, and in some cases, if it were not for modern day efforts to preserve these sites, some would be destroyed and forgotten. So what am I driving at? Well, simply this. Ancient kingdoms, countries, structures, people, all had their time, and they came and went. Renowned leaders of old that once led countries and people and did notable things are now only a memory. Great past celebrities, writers, artists, and performing artists who once dominated their field are gone. Despots of old that once conquered people and subjugated them are also gone. And as the earth continues to spin on its axis, the modern greats, if you will have their moment, and then they too will be gone. A famous English writer once wrote that all the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his act being 7 ages. Another writer who once was king over a thriving people wrote, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Ecclesiastes 1, verses 2 and 3. Yet when one examines those words that Shakespeare, and more importantly King Solomon, wrote regarding life, if we were to look at it from a godless perspective, life would certainly be considered meaningless and empty. Why should I labor? Why should I strive? Why should I attempt to do great things when it will all be for nothing once I am gone? But that is exactly the point. Our lives and our existence without God is meaningless. When we strive and toil for ourselves and for our own gain or glory, so to speak, all of it ends up nothing but a memory. But when we recognize and embrace the sovereignty of God in our lives, then we can look to life and know that all that we are and all that we do will count forever in Him. What did the Lord once say through His servant Paul in 1 Corinthians 10:31? I quote once again, Whether therefore you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And what about the same person who said that life was meaningless? He wrote at the end of that book, "Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all." As I take one last look today again at the ancient pyramids of the Mayans and the Aztecs, the great Colosseums and structures of the Romans, the great pyramids and structures of Giza, and so many others, only the Lord knows who exactly designed and built them. The architects and builders of those structures are long gone, and the structures themselves are only ruins left to speak of their once great grandeur. But God knows who these architects and builders once were, and he also knows for what and for who these people did what they did. Was it for their own glory or for God? That is the question that ultimately only the Lord knows the answer to. And so what about us? For what purpose do we do what we do? Are we toiling and laboring for our glory or for God's? God's word has stated, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away." His word is truth, and regardless of how man may attempt to destroy it, his word will never pass away. He has promised that what we do in his name will count for eternity, unlike the structures and acts that were built and done for man's personal glory. So let us find ourselves on the side of eternity, where what we count for eternity and for the glory of God will happen until he comes. May God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. And Lord willing, I get to see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.